that you've been to some fireplaces. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I hadn't seen such riches, I could live with being poor. Oh, sit down, oh, sit down, oh, sit down. Sit down next to me. Sit down, 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 down. In sympathy.
Evening, everyone. Evening, and here we are, the weekly podcast on the channel. And as always, Kenny Ken is here, the main man, and we have tonight TJ Warren TV and Northside London. Northside, you haven't been on for a while, and I think we had a chat yesterday, didn't we? Coming on tonight, and I'll be on your channel, I think, in the next few days, whenever it will be. How you been, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Just been reacting, getting the receipts on these super fans, and they're sounding a lot more humble than they was when we were top of the league. So it's been quite funny. Yeah, I'm good, man. How you been?
I'm great, mate. I'm great. I have to say, I said to you the other day, your reaction channel, mate, I love it. It's brilliant. How you do it, I mean, it's great. I mean, you're just a natural of it. Seriously, the way you call these people out, and it's facts. And the fact with your Portuguese commentary, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I love it. Absolutely bloody love it. Yeah, mate, long continue, my friend, calling out these absolute idiots. But that is how it is, unfortunately, at Arsenal. TJ, mate, how are you? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Jess. Thanks again for having me on, and again sharing the screen with Northside and Kenny Ken and yourself. It's a pleasure, so I appreciate it.
Always, mate. Your channel's growing nicely, so congratulations on that, mate. Kenny Ken, man, the man of facts, the football encyclopedia. The other night on when we it was Leeds on Monday 1 p.m. Mate, the way you're just putting facts out of the air, like scores, this, that, and the other, I'm thinking, how does he know all this? It's just madness, mate. Unbelievable. How you doing, mate? How you doing?
You know what? I'm just watched a bit of the Real Madrid match. Then my wife was chatting to me. So I said, look, if you want me to watch a rerun with you instead of football, just ask. And she said, all right, I want you to watch a rerun of a program you wanted to watch. So I missed the second half. But apart from that, I've been good. I'm resigned to our fate. But I've what I've done is I've been reduced to saying, you know what, win every game. Let's end the season winning every game and end the season professionally and see where it takes us. But, it's going to be a podcast and a half at the end of the season where we look back and it's highly likely we're going to have some sort of ramifications, regrets, and we're going to make demands for next season. I can see that happening, but right now it's just one game at a time.
Yeah, sadly. And that brings it very nicely into how I was going to start this. Zinchenko, we had a great win at the weekend away at Newcastle. Newcastle have been banging form. I didn't predict that win at all. I won't lie. I thought that we would get a draw at best, but we'd walked out of there with 2-0 win. After the way that Newcastle, to me, tactics, and I'll come to you first in this, TJ. Their tactics, to me, mate, seem to just be a bullying tactic, a little bit like they did to us at the Emirates, got in our faces, you're a little bit naughty, left a few tackles in, left a few elbows here and then, pushing in the back. Personally, I thought the referee was a little bit weak on some of his decisions where he could have brought out that yellow card a little bit earlier. There's a couple of naughty ones. But we got away with it. Now, would you, TJ, say that's because the players maybe have manned up a little bit more? But would you agree with me also? Second part, Zinchenko cannot bloody defend. Give me your opinion, mate.
So first of all, I thought the refereeing was lenient to say the least. Newcastle came out, they played a physical game similar to what we saw at the Emirates earlier in the season, and it worked at the Emirates. They stuck in, they were dirty, they were hitting the floor when we reacted. One thing I can say positive about the boys is that they are fighting for pride. At this point, I think they know that it's out of their hands, so all they can do is go out there and win and play their best. And we did see that. I have to give the team their flowers in terms of how they kept their composure for the most part. Mostly Granit Xhaka getting in people's faces, but not 100% losing the plot. I thought that his shit talk, for lack of a better words, and ribbing and getting under the Newcastle player's skin and playing their game right back to him was A+. The boys played really, really well. All except for Zinchenko. Zinchenko was by far our worst player, and he continues to be a defensive liability. You see him going into the midfield. You see the other team's counter down that right side, his side. And yeah, we just get absolutely split open when he cheats up too far. I think Newcastle did not play their normal. I don't think they continued the form that they were on going into the game, which is why I think we got away with the 2-0 win, and why I think they got frustrated and were playing the way that they were playing. Obviously, the yellow cards kind of came out a little earlier, but I'm just glad we got out with the win. But against a team like Brighton, who is coming in on the most inconsistent form I think I've seen them on in the months prior to this win loss that we're seeing out of them now. Now they're going to be on the bounce after getting embarrassed by Everton. So we have to be solid defensively. So how are we going to be solid defensively? In my view, start Kieran Tierney immediately. Do not start him on the bench because Brighton are going to come out on fire, and they know we're going to be weak on Zinchenko's side. So yeah, he's not a defender, people. He's not a defender. All the real ones in the chat know this. Northside knows this. Kenny Ken knows this, and I know you know this, Jez, that he is a midfielder playing as a left back. So
yeah, I mean, this is what frustrates me, man. Northside, give me your view in it, because I mean, I personally think I'm going to throw this in the mix. If Mikel Arteta had started Tierney at Liverpool and the other games where we were ahead, apart from Southampton, where we're obviously 2-0 down, I think we'd be in a totally different position right now. And we're not having to sit here after a 2-0 away win at Newcastle thinking, oh, well, we've got now relying Newcastle cocking up. Sorry, Man City cocking up. I mean, how do you see it, mate? I mean,
For me, Jez, I look at it like this. I said it to Lee that what I wasn't liking from Arteta was he wasn't utilising players that he brought in, like Jorginho, and he wasn't making players accountable. I still have a bit of an issue with it because I feel like certain players, like Zinchenko, like Saka, even to a degree at times, Jesus can drop stinkers, which Jesus is coming back from an injury. I can kind of excuse it a little bit more. Certain players can drop stinkers. Odegaard can drop stinkers in past games, yet they start all the time. And yet other players that are in form, like Trossard, they don't get selected. And one thing I did like to see against Newcastle is Kivior coming in because Rob Holding isn't doing his job. Is Jorginho coming in? But you look at the squad and you're thinking, well, you hold certain players to a certain account to their performances, but other players don't get held to account by the same way. Saka shouldn't have been playing that game. Saka's been dreadful. Why is Saka playing? As much as I can give Arteta praise for Kivior and Jorginho, why is Zinchenko and Saka playing. Odegaard obviously scored the goal, so it kind of justifies his selection. But this is why I wanted more in January, because I wanted the starting 11 players to feel like their position is up for grabs. When we had the Invincibles season, you look at the players that we had on the bench, they could replace the players that are on the field. And you know, metal sharpens metal. And when you know that your place is up for grabs, if you're not producing, then you get the best out of your starting 11, because they know every week they got to give 110%. Look at Man City. Arsenal fans keep raving about, oh, Man City they got two teams. They got two teams that are on point, that produce every week, because they know they will hold bench. They are held to account if they drop a stinker. And at Arsenal, we're not. One thing I can give Arteta, the two things I saw this season is us coming undone when we come against a low block, or when we come against a team that are very physical. Props to the team that this time we actually stood toe-to-toe with Newcastle, because Joe Linton was brushing our defenders all over the place, our midfielders all over the place. Guimarães was the same thing. They were physical, they were in our face, but we didn't crumble, and I can give credit to that. But there's still things that just make me feel like this manager, when it's critical, doesn't know at times to make the right decisions. Like, it's taken him to bottle us having the advantage over Man City to learn. You know, he didn't learn after Liverpool. He didn't learn after West Ham. You know what I mean? He didn't learn after Southampton. It took all the way up to get thrashed after Man City. He doesn't learn fast enough. And if the excuse is Arsenal fans say, oh, we can't compete with an oil-rich club, well, next season we've got 3 oil-rich clubs. We're gonna have Man City, Newcastle, that are now going to be able to attract big players, because now they're in Europe. According to Arsenal fans, you can attract the big players if you're in Europe. And then we're going to have Man United are going to get taken over by the Qataris. So all the props I can give, I mean, if we can't compete against one oil-rich team this season, we've got 3 to compete against next season.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolute fact, mate. Kenny Ken, we touched on this. We have touched on this, but I value your opinion on this, because with the fact that Zinchenko, I think we both agree he's not a defender. He has cost us, and the fact that we could have or should have, I'll say should have won those games if we'd had Tierney on the park. I mean, why would you bring on a player of Tierney's quality in the 87th minute?
He's only doing that. He does that to shore up the defence. That's what he does. Because at the moment, from the difference between last season and this season is that I think slightly we're better defensively, slightly, especially off the ball, and especially across the back forward where we're compact. But the problem is we weren't playing exactly attractive football. Now he sacrificed the defensive side in order to score, play more attractive football, and he'll probably justify that by saying, "Look at our goals for column, 83 goals this season, and we may, if we win all our games, get the 90 points." Or so it's risk and reward with Arteta. He's not going to budge from this. I saw instances of Tierney versus Zinchenko against Chelsea when he came on, and from a defensive point of view, we look really, really solid after Tierney came into the side, and even from an attacking point of view, we were more direct. But one of the things I saw in a few games when Tierney comes up, you see with Zinchenko, when he gets the ball and he's got people around him, he looks to do 1-2s and passes, and then tries to pass, and then he moves. With Tierney, he's a proper defender. He'll just clear his lines. And I think that's what the problem is with Arteta. He's not bothered that Tierney's a better defender. He's more concentrated on how we can break teams down, how can we outnumber the midfield, and how we can create attacking options. And that's the problem. Unfortunately, when it's horses for courses, and when you've got teams like Liverpool when they do the overloads, and even West Ham when they do the overloads, he should have without that changed tact, and then what he could have done, what he did against Newcastle, where it was kind of more compact and use our pace on the break. He could easily have played like that against Liverpool. Definitely could have done it against West Ham, but for some reason he just refuses to do it. He refuses to do it because he's fixated on risk and reward. I.e., I need to, in order for me to challenge for big titles, especially title, I need my team to score more goals. In order for my team to score more goals, I need my left back to be inverted, and that's the problem. Unless he budges from that mindset, then you're going to see more and more Zinchenko. And even if we do, like I said, get rid of Zinchenko, he'll get another player the same sort of ilk. You know, our future at left back, particularly, is going to be a player who can fit into the midfield and play through in the middle as well as down the sides. Because you look at Zinchenko, how many times have you actually seen Zinchenko put a cross in from the byline? Not really. It's mostly Xhaka nowadays. You look at the 2 goals against Chelsea, 2 assists by Granit Xhaka. He got into that position because him and Zinchenko swapped positions. He went up, Zinchenko stayed in the midfield alongside Jorginho and Odegaard, and then Odegaard, you know, like I said, made his little dart, and Xhaka became a spare man. That's how we're going to play now, as long as this guy's our manager. And even if Xhaka leaves the football club, say you bring in Saido or Rice, then Rice will probably do that as well in that position. So we know what's right.
Yeah. Don't you think it just come to me? You know, like at Liverpool, they've got Trent, and when they had that midfield, there's a dynamic midfield that could cover the defensive deficiencies of Trent. We don't have that. We've got the biggest calamity defensively in terms of midfielder, Xhaka, interchanging with Zinchenko. We have to upgrade that and have a
100%. We've got to upgrade it for this season. It's only going to be a temporary measure because everyone's thinking that this is like something that's really innovative and clever. We all know in football, teams work you out. Next season, teams are going to look at that and they're going to work us out. They're going to look at the interchange between Zinchenko and Granit Xhaka and think, right, we've got to work on stopping this. Now, the 2 ways you stop it, either you put men and, like I said, press them, or you think, hang on here, we're going to make them defend a bit and make them go a few yards. And I think that's how teams are going to play it. But that's why sometimes, right, I think he's got to get that balance between defensive right left back and someone who's like inverted. That's how it's going to work, because next season we're going to get worked out big time. But right now he's gone from one extreme to another, and as much as we want horses of courses, this manager's not budging, mate, on that tactical jink in terms of buying Zinchenko.
And that brings on to a very interesting point. It would appear that Granit Xhaka may well be going in the summer because his wife wants to go back to Germany. He apparently, at some point, stated he wants to end his career in Germany. Now, this has brought up all kinds of comments today about his rejuvenation at Arsenal. Well, I'm sorry to say this. I mean, I couldn't stand Granit Xhaka. I couldn't stand him the day that he abused us as a fan base when he was basically telling us to F off. He threw the captain's armband on the floor, disrespected the club, disrespected the fan base, and disrespected the badge. And now there's been people, and I have been one of them, said what a great season he has had. And yes, he has. Because Mikel Arteta has put him into a different role, got him away from the defence where he's a bloody liability. And now it looks like he's going to go. I mean, TJ, would you be happy about that? I mean, personally, I'll give you my opinion. So if he wants to go, he can go. Because he's had one good season in what? 8 seasons? Is he 7, 8 seasons has he been here, Kenny? I'm sorry, one season doesn't make you a great Arsenal player. Not in my book. TJ, how you see it, mate?
Let him go. Let him go. Like Elsa, like Frozen. Let him go. I don't care. I'm honestly to the point with this team that now that we're playing Champions League, players like Granit Xhaka are not the levels that we need to go deep into the Champions League. They are not the levels that we need to be consistently top 4, let alone challenging for a title in the Premier League, which is what we expect out of a world-class club like Arsenal, right? The real ones expect that, not, top gooners where top 4 is a trophy. I still haven't seen that top 4 trophy, by the way. Does anybody know what that looks like? Does anybody know? I haven't seen it. Anyway, no, let Granit Xhaka show. Bring me Caicedo. Bring me Declan Rice. Bring me these players that we've been linked with for the past year plus. So that way we can go in there and we can actually compete with these defensive, with these, a CDM that is actually a CDM. And I want to call out Matthew in the chat a little bit here. You're talking about how playing Zinchenko in the midfielder is helping our possession. What are you talking about? We give the ball away in the midfield like it's our job some games. We do not have the amount of possession needed to be confident in having 3 at the back. We give up so many chances when we're playing an inverted left back. We give up so many chances. I think we're the last few games, I don't know the exact statistics, but we're giving up as many goals as relegation fodder. Like, come on, guys. We have to be stronger at the back. We have to be if we're going to win these next couple of games. I don't care. We got Brighton coming up. We got Nottingham Forest coming up, and they're going to be fighting for their lives. I'm not confident about that game, to be 100% honest with you. They're going to come at us. And then who do we have to end the season? It's slipping my mind. Either way, not to completely lose it. Come back to your original question, Jez. Let them go. Bring me quality world-class midfielders. We're now in the Champions League for the first time in 5-6 years. Go get the players that are actually levels enough to play in that league and bring us the Champions League that you've been promising us since this manager took over. It's time to start calling out this ownership, guys. It's time. Past time.
It is. Great comment here from Joel. Agree, Jez. He has to go. Been great this year, but that don't cover up 6 years of garbage. People forget he was flirting with Roma. He was flirting with them. I think it was at the Euros. Wasn't it? I don't think it was the World Cup, was it? Not last year. It was the years before the Euros. About going to Roma, giving all the big one about what a great city it is, blah blah blah. It didn't come off. We give him another contract. I'm sorry, Northside. Give me your view on him, man, because I think he has been it's been a great season for him. I really think it has, but he's not levels, man. He's just not the levels that we need to move on, in my book.
Is he going to get any better? No. This is his ceiling, and it's still not good enough to win us a major honor. So let's just move him on. For me, it's done, Jez. He's 30, 31. This is it for him. He's not good enough to take us forward. He is probably the only player that we've got that has a bit of a personality. I know different players show leaderships in different ways. Not everybody's a shouter. He has shown leadership skills this season, but ultimately, if we're hearing all of this, he's not happy, and just go. You look at Pep Guardiola. You look at Pep Guardiola. As soon as Zinchenko wants to go, you can go. If Jesus wants to go, you can go. He won't hold on to you because he wants players that are going to fight for him, fight for the badge, fight for the club. And how are they going to fight and give 110% if they're not happy? At the end of the day, we can replace Granit Xhaka. To be honest, it's a great time to get rid of him because after this season, it looks like we're going to finish second. His stock, we'll probably get a good price now for him in terms of, with the years he's got left on his contract, his age. We'll probably get the most value for him right now. So get rid of him now. We can get better. There is better out there. And go out there into the Premier League and get players that have done it in the Premier League. I think one thing that I can give props is the difference this season when we got Zinchenko, Jesus, players that have been there and done it in the Premier League. We've seen they don't need adaptation, period. They don't need time to bed into the squad. Go out there and replace him with another midfielder that's already done it in the Premier League. And we'll kick on. You know, we didn't need this whole, you know, like we had with Pepe and we've had with other players that come from abroad and they need to adjust to the league. There's players that are out there. And according to these super fans, apparently just getting Champions League get you world-class players. So we'll be able to attract world-class players. So go get the world-class players then. We got Champions League. It's nailed on. We're going to get Champions League. So get it then, isn't it? If it's that simple.
Exactly. Well, I had this debate with somebody, I can't remember who it was now. The fact of the matter is that the super fans seem to think that, as you quite rightly said, Northside, we're going to drag every world-class player into Arsenal now because we've got into the Champions League. Arsenal are as tight as a bleeding tick when it pays for players. It comes to pay. And I made the statement the other day when we had that great team of we attracted the great players from France back in the day when Wenger was about. A lot of the fact that players want to come to a club is because of the manager. They want to play for that manager. When we had Arsene Wenger, he had links into the French national team and he had links into many French clubs. And they wanted to play with that guy. He'd managed in France before he went off to Japan. And Kenny, I mean, Granit Xhaka, man, if he wants to go, let him go. Let him go.
Well, it's old news, isn't it? Like we assumed after that he was going to go to Roma, but you know the club offered him a new contract. But you know there's going to have to be a time when we have to evolve as a team, and if we can get big money for him, I'm more than happy for him to leave the club. He can leave with all our blessings because you know we have to move on. You know he's been loyal. Well, it's up to a point, i.e., that he's been here less than 3 years. So he's been here for 6 or 7 years. He's enjoyed his team. He's playing his best football this season. We moved him further up, but you know it doesn't mean that we're going to need him long term. He's done a job for us this season. It's been effective. It's got us to the title. He's been prominent, but you know we got to see it as a goodbye present and evolve because you know. We do need a couple of new midfielders. We do, you know, Casado's a player that everyone's talking about, and also Declan Rice. You know, you're going to have to get some players out of the club who can get us some money. And let's face it, Granit Xhaka has divided opinion for a long time. You know, you think about his first season wasn't too bad. Other seasons, when you think about when teams used to counter-attack us, and he was involved, it was painful watching him. And then there was the setting offs and all the penalties he used to give away because he was trying to catch up with the player he's lost. There's too far in between, and then you got the super fans who think he's a top player. Yeah, he's got experience and he's got a good football brain, but in terms of experience, a good football brain, we need more than that now. We need to evolve. So Granit wants to go. Please go. Please go. Let it be true. But I'm not saying that of malice. I'm saying it because I'm ruthless. Because I know next season teams are going to work us out, especially down this side. And I want something new. And from a financial position as well, I hope he goes because, you know, we could use this money to, you know, pay towards new, you know, like a newer team. Because am I allowed to say this? I don't want he's the sort of player that is good enough to get us in the top 4, but to help us win the league on a regular basis. See, I got you there, Granit fans. We need more than that.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree any more, mate. I mean, the fact of the matter is, to me, you know, Kenny, you know, that for the 2 years or so we've been doing stuff on Lee's channel, I couldn't stand the fella. You know, he's cost us games, time in, time out, and I wanted him out a long time ago. This season, I have given him the benefit of the doubt. He's done an excellent job because Arteta's moved him away from our defence where he caused mayhem, drama, heart attacks. You know, the fact is he had to get out of that area, and now he's done a decent job and fair play and respect. But move on, man. It's time to go. We need to delve in our pockets now. And that brings me on to something else nicely. This, I said it the other day. We need to invest big time in the summer transfer window. And I would expect, if I was the owner of this football club, I would be expecting my management to be looking and talking already. Because the biggest problem I see, I'll come to you first, Northside, on this one. We leave everything so bloody late. We seem to miss the boat every single sodding time. And the second part of that, mate, people have got to leave this club this time now. They've got to go. There's players in this football team are just not the levels we need. And I'll call them out, mate. Nketiah, Holding, they've got to go. El Neni, we gave him a new contract when he was injured. What was the hell the point of that? Rubbish. I think we'll be selling Pepe for a knockdown price. I reckon Tomiyasu will be out the door. And so we've got to fill a lot of positions. Will we spend that money, Northside? Will we do it? Can you see it? Because I'm going to put it out there. I reckon we need a war chest of probably 350 million to get us to the levels that we need to compete. And we know we're not going to get big money for Rob Holding. He can go back to Bolton. I mean, probably get, what, 3.5, 4 million for him. Nketiah, he's not the levels. He couldn't get in the Leeds team. So how the hell can he get in our team? Rubbish. Xhaka will go, what, 14 maybe million for him. And Tomiyasu will go, I think, and Pepe will go. So, Northside, how do you see it, man?
For me, this is why I don't trust this process. Because when people say trust the process, the project, the phase now, that's got a new triple P's, new name. It's a phase now. They forget that this process is alongside Edu. For all Arteta's overachieving, when has Edu ever overachieved? This is why I have no faith in the summer. This is why I have no faith. Edu's never overachieved in terms of his job role here at Arsenal. At the end of the day, we've missed out on so many players. We missed out on Mudryk. We missed out on Vlahovic, Paqueta, Rafinha, João Felix, Caicedo, Declan Rice, Buendia. Are any of these players world class? But now that, according to the super fans, because we've got Champions League, we're supposed to be able to bring world class players to this team. Unless we get one of Man City's hand-me-downs, what quality player are we going out there and bringing? Because we're not. None of those players I mentioned that we couldn't get over the line are world class, and we still can't get them over the line. So at the end of the day, I don't really believe that we're going to go out there and do it, especially when this fan base are doing exactly what my reaction video was. It's I just want to enjoy the season. Oh, well, let's just push him to the end, and that will be all right. As long as we push him to the end. It's a third phase. It doesn't matter. We'll just go again. It's a youth project. Give it 2-3 years. It's always random. It's always the project is 2-3 years, and every year it's 2-3 years. It's always 2-3 years, 4 years. It's always a random number, and it's not good enough. And then when you look at the players that we brought in, Marquinhos is deemed not good enough. He's out on loan. Fabi Vieira ain't good enough. Nuntavaje ain't good enough. Lokonga ain't good enough. Jorginho, people are gassing Jorginho for the Newcastle performance. I've seen one-off good games by El Neni. I've seen one-off good games by Rob Holding. I've seen one-off good games by Eddie Nketiah. We re-signed Nketiah because he scored a brace against Chelsea. We re-signed him, gave 100k and gave him the number 14. So I'm not going to over-gas players like Jorginho. I want to see consistency. Every player can have 1 or 2 or 3 good games over the course of the season because there's so many games to play. But can you do it consistently? And this is the same thing. A lot of Arsenal fans going out there saying, Arsenal need to go get Mitoma. Why? We haven't seen Mitoma repeat it. Last year, the flavour of the month was Bowen for West Ham. Where's he been this season? Where's he been? Because I haven't seen him. So it's easy to say, one-off season, but where's he been? Do you remember Me Too? I think it was at Swansea. Was it Swansea? Was it Me Too?
Me too.
The one that used to do that
Yeah,
celebration.
Yeah.
Remember we had that wild season, Kenny? And then what happened?
Yeah, that's right.
So at the end of the day, people are telling me, oh, Arteta's doing a great job. Well, the other half of the process is the scouting. And a lot of the players that have been recruited in ain't good enough. They're not good enough to take even away a lot of the starting players. It ain't good enough. What happened to, I know he's injured now, but Tomiyasu, he was looking dreadful. Cedric, he was another one. But we're not going to talk about that because we can't talk about that. Let's just look at Zinchenko. Let's look at the ones that fit the agenda that Mikel Arteta is amazing. Even though he inherited Martinelli and Saka that are pivotal to this, he didn't buy them. He inherited them. So at the end of the day, when I look at it, I just think there's no pressure. I've said this before to Lee. I said, Xavi, people talk about Arsenal inheriting a mess. Xavi inherited a mess. A £1 billion mess. Arsenal fans love to come up with we can't compete with oil rich. Barcelona were going up against Real Madrid with a deficiency. They're minus £1 billion. And now they're going again, and they're going on to win the league. If Arsenal were minus £1 billion in the bank, the excuses, the violins, listen, the violin, it wouldn't even fit in the room. It wouldn't fit in this room, the violin about, we can't compete. But I don't see we can't compete and we can't get the players in from Barcelona, and they genuinely don't even have the money. We have money, we spend it poorly, we don't get the players that we need, and then it doesn't matter, we'll go again. It doesn't matter. So if there's no push from the fan base, and if the fan base already like, we're competing with City and it's hard and there's oil-rich clubs and all these excuses, at the end of the day, I'm not hearing none of it. Benfica, which is my second team, they're able to get their players over the line. Darwin Núñez left. They've already got Gonzalo Ramos already in. Dortmund as well. They can't get into a bidding war. So what do? They go and get their business early. When do we ever go get our business early? So my response to you, Jez, is no, we're not going to get it done. Because like João Felix, like Rafinha, like Mudryk, we talk to the player and the player has agreed that he's coming. Just like what we're hearing from Declan Rice. And then it will fall flat. Because you know why? We never give it over the line. We start haggling about price. We allow our rivals to start looking at our main target and then focus on our main target. And our main rivals are teams like Chelsea, like Man United, that will say, you know what? I want Casemiro. I'm going to go get him. I want Mudryk. I'm going to go get him. I'm not going to get the B-Tech. I'm going to go get him. How much did you say? There's the money. Thank you. Obrigado. Festa. That's it. Done. There's none of this B-Tech like we did with Jorginho. Do you know what I mean? There's none of this plan B. So for me, no, we ain't getting it done.
But Northside, I don't understand. Though. We have this huge war chest. Right? We could spend all the money we want. Why is Edu trying to negotiate people down? Why do we have to negotiate for Caicedo? Everybody has a price. Why do we have to negotiate for Mudryk? Why can't we get these deals over the line when we have this big war chest apparently that we can spend on these players? But Edu still has to penny pinch. I don't get that. I really don't. Sorry, Jez. It's just frustrating.
No, mate. Totally agree. And this is a classic one. Tim, he will get us over the line. Well, what line?
Who, Jesus?
Because I don't think it'll be the Premier League, mate. He capitulated in all the cups to win the Premier League. Mate, good. I hope you haven't put any money on it. That's all I can say for you. Fair play to you, mate. Thanks for your comment, but not seeing it myself. Kenny. We've got to get rid of some crap in this club. Seriously, haven't we? We have
100%. No, it's 100%. Because the thing is the mentality as well. We I've been saying all season is that, there's been a window of opportunity now for us to actually challenge with the big teams, and that we can't. But you can't do that with a top form mentality across the club. And the first evidence of top form mentality is the players you have. Rob Holding represents a top form mentality. El Neni represents a top form mentality. Granit Xhaka has got scars of our underachievement, even though he's had a good season this season. He's a top form mentality. So, if you're going to compete, the players you have to go for are players who are going to help you challenge on paper for the Champions League and for the league. That's all we've got to go. And then Northside's right, about the excuse menu about we can't compete with oil-rich clubs. That's lazy. It's lazy. It's lazy. You slag off Spurs fans for not having the right mentality, but what sort of mentality is that where you say, we can't compete? So it's an excuse for failure. So we don't challenge the title next season. Because Newcastle have got billionaires and Man City and Chelsea. That's lazy. Let's not forget that our owner's a billionaire. And his spouse is a billionaire and owns one of the biggest shopping malls in the world.
She's a Harris to the Walmart fortune.
Exactly, yeah, and that's massive in the United States. So I'm not saying that she's going to put money towards Arsenal, but the fact is that you'll find that most clubs in the Premiership, even Bournemouth, have got billionaire owners. So that's just lazy. The fact is, you have to look at the situation and say, what about our facilities? Yeah, they're top class. We've built our own stadium to the extent that we collected revenue, extra 22,000 seats because of the revenue we're getting in. So we should be competing, and it's an ambition as well. You should still be able to compete for the biggest names. It's no good saying, we're a big club and people are going to come because it's Arsenal. That's the case. They come. Just offer them the money. That's the thing. So go right. It's no haggling. It's not haggling. You don't identify a player and also haggle at the last hurdle. You would have known that the club have got a valuation. They're not going to budge for their valuation because it's Arsenal. They're going to want that money, and they know that other clubs are going to be competing. So that's the mentality Arsenal have to have next season: is get the top players in, because there's no way we're going to be able to compete with the side we got this season, only because other teams are going to strengthen and we're going to stand still. The great sides, of who've dominated the Premiership or the Football League previously have had 2 in, 2 out. Liverpool 2 in, 2 out. Man United 2 in, 2 out. Man City upgraded. Everyone thinks that we got a better deal from Zinchenko and Jesus. Well, I wouldn't say that because they've replaced those two players quite adequately, and actually got a better side for them. Unless, if you want me to be honest, and I say it without any contempt, well, they weren't exactly first teamers for Man City, were they? They were just part of the squad. So they were just, if you like, they were cannon fodder in order to reduce their wage bill. Facts. But they've had good seasons. But as Northside says, good players repeat it season after season. You mentioned Mishu. One guy mentioned Amir Zaki. The guy played for Wigan. He was meant to be the next Alan Shearer. What's happened there? It's got to be consistency, and we got to touch this team up, because promise you, teams are going to work us out. So we've got to produce something different.
Well, the fact, I think, Kenny, they have. I think they proved that in a couple of games.
But I think next season it's going to be more prominent. Teams are going to look. They're going to look at the like I said, the triangle, triumphant in the midfield. Also, they're going to look at the inverted situation and said, right, how can we hurt them? Do we play the ball long over the top? Do we get in their faces? Do we win the ball back quickly? Because, as you said, from kickoff, they know we're going to pass it around. So they take us for a surprise and, and create those chances. Some they score, some they don't. So those are loads of things. Like going back to Newcastle game, not trying to be horrible or anything. And I don't want to sort of dumb down our success, which was brilliant. It was blatantly obvious in that game, whoever scored the first goal was going to go on and win it. Just blatantly obvious. It was as clear as the night as day. If we didn't weather that storm in the first 20 minutes, we'd have got battered out of sight. But we did. We scored first. Their confidence went downhill, and then we took advantage and could have won by more goals because we had clear-cut chances. So, again, it's one of those things where we ride the luck, but another day we get popped playing like that.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I've sussed this now. Prince fouled. You are actually Julian, aren't you? In disguise. You are Julian. There's no question about that. I've worked you out now. You are Julian. No question about
Kenny
it.
in, man.
Anyway,
I like that comment. I'd love to see Kenny as a manager. There'll be no nonsense in the dressing room. I'd love it as well. I'd love it, man. Kenny in the dressing room. That'd be jokes, man. You wouldn't even need to say anything, Kenny. Just walk in there. Half time.
They'll know. They'll know who you are. They'll know who you are, and they'll know what time it is.
You know, it is with modern players nowadays. You know, apparently we're in all sorts of stories that they like cuddles and modern players. You're not allowed to shout at them, or they won't perform for you, or they go and tell the owner. You know what I mean? Modern players are precious nowadays. So I'll be sacked. I'll be sacked before I take training.
Well, you're probably right there, mate. Before we wrap this up, I want to get. We've got Brighton next. Brighton at home. They beat us in the Carrier Bag Cup, which, you know, we had a pretty weak team out that night. So I'm not going to put anything on that. They've just been absolutely piped 5-1 by Everton, which was a major shock to me. That is, well, I didn't see that coming. But, you know, it's dice ball. You know how he works. And we've got them. TJ, how you seeing it, mate? How you seeing the game at the weekend against Brighton at home?
We should win. We should win. The difference is, though, is that Brighton are going to be on the bounce because they just got absolutely embarrassed by a relegation team. So if you don't think De Zerbi is going to be putting horse heads in people's beds, I don't know, man. Like you got another thing coming. These guys are going to be on smoke when they're coming in here, so we better be ready. I want to see Tierney start because they are going to come at us fast off the bounce. They are not going to wait, and they are going to attack us down the left side where Zinchenko is going to be defending. You know, I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but we see the same rerun over and over and over and over and over again with this guy. So if we are solid defensively and we win the midfield, we should win 4-1 is what I'm thinking. But yeah, I mean, you got to be very, very clear that De Zerbi is going to have these guys up for the game after that 5-1 piping. I mean, that was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for them, and I don't even care. So, so yeah, I'm going 4-1 to the Arsenal. If you start my Scottish left back, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
start Eddie and Trossard. Prince, you are taking the piss. Maybe Trossard, but not Eddie.
No, yeah, well, we know that Prince is Julian. I've sussed it. I've called it. Northside, my good old mate here. Prince fouled, giving it all the usual, you know, like he likes to. How you seeing the game, mate, against Brighton?
I think it could be a draw. I'm going for a draw. I'm going for a draw. If Jorginho's playing in that midfield, that could be a problem. He dealt with the physicality of Newcastle, but Brighton are going to be hitting us fast and with numbers. And I'd like to see if Jorginho can keep up the good performance against Newcastle. I'm yet to see it. I mean, it's not completely his fault. He hasn't been given enough game time and minutes under Arteta. But then Zinchenko is always going to worry me, Jez. It's always going to worry me, Zinchenko. And for that, you know he's going to start. He's not going to play Tierney. And Kivior, we're still yet to see how good he is. And I respect Brighton. I think they're a very good side. I think they attack very well. The thing is, if they commit too many people forward, I see goals because they're going to commit too many players forward. And we can hit them on the counter. And when we're direct, we can put teams to bed. But I'm going with a draw. I'm going with a 2-2 draw.
Well, okay. I'll put mine out there. I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal. I think that is that is what I'm going to call it. Kenny Ken, you'll be at the game, and How are you seeing it, mate? Are you seeing Arsenal can get it over the line?
Well, we have to. We've got no choice. We have to win. I know. We have to act as though we have to act, if not pretend we're in a title race. So we have to win. It's like non-negotiable. We've got to get in their faces, score early, and then we win comfortably. If they get the first goal, God, it's going to be a long day. We have to. You know what I mean. The thing that's in our favour is that Brighton have got a few games in hand, so they're going to be playing. They're going to having to play a few games, so they may rotate, but I saw signs of the Everton game where they looked a bit heavy legged. I think getting the semi-finals taking a lot out of them, and the games coming thick and fast are taking a lot out of them. But so you are going to see a bit of inconsistency, which is dangerous for us because they got the beat Wolves 6-0, beat Man United, got smashed by Everton. The motivation is going to be there, but then, the game's end. So we score first, we win. If they score first, we just hope that they run out of steam and we have to come back. It's not going to be easy, but we got to start pace. Even if we're knackered, mate, just give everything and see if we can wrap it up in the first half like we did against Chelsea.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. The fact of the matter is, last night Man City drew with Real Madrid.
Yes, please.
And that may have may be in our favour. I'm not saying it will, because they're going to have to go all out at the Etihad to get into the final of the Champions League. So will that be in our favour, TJ? Will that be in our favour?
I want Man City in the Champions League as long as possible, because as much as we hate to say it, and it's our own fault for this, we need them to drop points. So I actually bet Strasbourg Steve 50 quid that Man City would win the league. So I'm hoping that win the Champions League. So I'm hoping that they stay in. I think whoever wins the next game at the Etihad wins the Champions League, because I don't see either one of the Milan teams coming anywhere near Man City, near Man City. So yeah, I hope they win and they stay in as long as we can, and then hopefully somebody can take them to a draw and we win out. I'm not seeing that it's happening, but that's our only chance. And as much as I hate to say it, it hasn't left the back of my head that it's a possibility, because Jez, I'm a masochist. I follow this team and I constantly get disappointed. So I don't see how this is going to change.
Well, that's Arsenal, mate. I've been doing it for 55 years. So,
what's wrong with us, Jez? What is wrong with us?
I know. That's the way it is, my friend. Right, we're gonna call a day in a minute. Northside, do you think the pressure of the Champions League could affect Manchester City?
No, because according to super Arsenal fans, they've got 2 squads that can win the league. So on that basis, they'll be fine. They can use one squad to win the Champions League and the other one to keep winning their remaining games. So Arsenal fans keep using their bench as an excuse. So why can't they win both competitions? The excuse for us is we don't have the bench, right? We don't have the bench. We've got a light squad. That's why we can't compete in multiple competitions. Well, apparently their bench is amazing. I don't even believe that, because I think going forward, they've got a lot of quality in rotation, but defensively, I don't think it's completely the same. When you look at some of the defensive and the goalkeeping options, I don't think their second team could win the league. I think they'll do very well, but I don't think they'll win the league. But for us, Jez, I just look at it like this. If they lose against Man City, if Man City lose against Real Madrid, I think they've got 3 more games. They'll go all out and win those games. So either way, I think we need them to lose and draw a game. I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I think best case scenario, they can try and draw. But even against Leeds, like I said on my channel, even against Leeds, against Sam Allardyce, 2 banks of 4 trying to hit you on a break, they still were able to get a 2-1 win. So that Man City team, even up against a low block, they're still able to score because they've got the quality. So I don't know. I don't really see it, regardless of what happens in the Champions League. But I think maybe it's in our favor for them to go through to the final of the Champions League, because maybe they will take a little bit of their focus a bit more to the Champions League. If they crash out the Champions League at the Etihad, second game against Real Madrid, they're going to come with a vim for this Premier League, because they're not going to end the season trophyless, because that's not acceptable at their club by their manager.
Yeah, thing is Northside though. Sorry, but they're already coming a vim for the thing. They've won every game since Nottingham Forest. They're already they're the vim is there. They're not messing about, mate.
No, that is the worry. That is the biggest worry, mate, for me with Manchester City. Pep Guardiola always gets them up at the end of the season. TJ, I want you to shout your channel out, mate, because you've got to go in a minute. You've got business.
Yeah, I got to go back to work. These lunch break podcasts are the highlight of my day. So thank you very, very much, Jez, for having me on. It's been a pleasure. Northside, Kenny, you guys are both legends. Thank you. Respect everything you guys have to say. And sharing the screen with you is an absolute pleasure. So TJ Warren TV shows coming up. We got the Brighton preview tomorrow. Jez, I think I'm going to have you on for that. We may have one other person on for that. That'll be, I believe, 9:30 p.m. UK. So I see some legends in the chat. I think we see Darren and we see Prince. So if either of you guys want to come on for that, just hit me up on the Insta. And then on Friday, I don't know what time yet, but it'll be sometime in the afternoon, evening, UK. We are going to have the 10th episode of the American Idiot podcast / video cast / incredible show featuring the one and only Lee Gunner. So come and watch that. It's going to be absolute jokes. So please come out and watch that. I will announce that on my page as soon as me, Dal, and Lee get on the same page. So again, thanks for having me, Jez. We'll see you later.
Pleasure, man. Take care. Big up to your channel. You're growing nicely. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you to Northside, mate. Give me a call as soon as you want to do the show, whenever it is, whenever. And Northside, shout your channel out, please.
Yeah, it's NorthsideLDN, all one word. And Jez, you know what? Yeah, I want to get you in the reaction video. And if Kenny's available as well, I need to get these super fans to do their reaction. We're playing on Sunday.
I'd love to.
Yeah?
I would love to.
So we'll do it Monday. Yeah, I'll get all the evidence up, and we'll do it then. Because if we do it Friday or Saturday, then the super fans haven't had their say yet. Yeah. So we'll do it after the super fans have done it. You and Kenny on Monday, if Kenny's available as well, and we can react to the super fans and their opinions.
Absolutely love that. Love it.
Well, that'd be funny.
What was his name? Oh, I've got it. Kevin Keegan. I bloody love it. That'd be great. I love it. Kenny Ken, mate, shout out your Insta and where we can find you, my friend.
Yeah, I'm at Kenny Ken 1972. So, we have some bit of fun. We've got some football in about an hour's time, the Millionaires derby. So that'd be good to watch. And then, we've got some games tomorrow. So, football, this is the business end of the season when the trophies get handed out. And once again, it's highly likely that we're not going to have any silverware. God, every time another is so, hopefully, someone gets a hamstring at Man City, they drop points and we're allowed back in, but it's highly unlikely.
I totally agree with that. And once again, I'm pretty certain it's another disappointing season. We're in the mix, cocked it up, threw it away because of poor management, in my belief. But that's a story for another day. It's another debate about the manager. We talk about that in another show. But Northside, mate, thank you for coming on. Kenny Ken, thank you for coming on. The man of reason, the legend, the encyclopedia of football. Thank you to everybody that's watched. Nearly 100 watching tonight. And thank you, everybody in the chat. You've been great comments, great facts. And thanks, everyone. And we'll see you next time. And I can't wait to go on Northside's reaction show. That will be amazing. That'll be a fun time. I swear to God, I can't wait. And take care, everyone. Have a great evening wherever you are in the world. God bless. Take care.
Yeah.